name is Blessing Yamadike, Head of Platform at Ajim Capital. And today I have Omar Ibn Abdillah. Omar is the CEO and co-founder of Invea, an e-learning platform and expert marketplace for Africa. Invea E-learning is the world's first online course platform that offers courses in local African languages with 100% African experts. They are revolutionizing education through online learning platforms, providing access to learning resources, expert advice, and consulting opportunities. It's great to meet you, Omar.
Hey, wonderful. How are you? Thank you for inviting me. It's very wonderful to be here, and it's good, amazing. I want to congratulate your initiative. So, yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm really interested in what you're building, and you're building an online expert marketplace for Africans in local African languages. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's been a hectic in dreams and kind of something that come up for the whole life I have as a consultant myself for many years. I started being a consultant when I was 20, and I think it's something that when you're growing up, you're looking where all the consulting and expertise in Africa come from the outside. It comes from the Europe, it come from America to tell us how Africa should going, how we should do our businesses and how we should do something. So actually, Invia is something we want to build for African to showcase their talents because Africa is a pool of human resources, the pool of talents in Africa. So you want to the world to know that we have what we need here to develop our continents, and we have it in our talents, in our experts. So you want to be somewhere, some safe place where you guys, as an African people, can come and be yourself and expose your talents, or also find someone you need help for anything you want.
Awesome, awesome. So, what inspired you to create India?
Yeah, just say, I'm from Comoros. My name is Omar. I'm from Comoros otherwise, and I'm growing uh, in so much in a place where I think there is a difficult to access to education for everywhere. And this difficulty comes from myself. I'm from Comoros. Comoros is a little small island. And when you want to go higher education, you want to travel outside the island because we don't have a big university in the country. So you have to go outside the country to find education outside. So for ourselves, we go to Tanzania or Madagascar or French or Europe, but we have to go outside. That's the first one thing. And then when you go to outside, you don't know the language in this country, you don't know the culture in this country, so you have to accommodate yourself with the language, with the culture, with everything in the country. It's gonna take you 1 year or something like that. So to be yourself in this country. And if you don't speak, I love a quote that Thomas Sankara says that when you don't speak a foreign language, it means you're not intellect. You know, when people say you speak French or you speak English in Africa, they tell you are analphabet because you don't speak the language they want to speak. So we have a big inequality on people access to education because of the origin, because of the education, because of the language speaking, because of everything. So this is the first issue we face. I face myself, and then come off the other part of Invea about the e-marketplace we want to put is when you are from Kenya right now, or from any country in Africa, you want to go and deliver a service in other country in Africa. You need a visa, you need many stuff, you need to have a bank account in this country, you need many stuff to be able to act as a consultant in this country. And this blockage make you don't feel like you don't want to do that because it's gonna take you whole times. So the idea of Invea is finding a solution for this true problem. The access to education for people who don't have access to language skills, and also people who don't have access to infrastructure like school infrastructure, etc. And the other side is it gives the opportunity to everyone to have access to a marketplace like LinkedIn or Fiverr, or you can look, but specifically dedicated for Africa experts. So you put a program behind our expert to make them feel comfortable, have access to solvable value revenue. So this is why we're building Invea. It's fight with education inequality and bridge the gap of expert talent and consulting in Africa.
You're currently raising 450K to start operations. What will be your priorities when you get this funding that you need?
Actually, let's say we when you're starting a business like this, the main core of the business is building around the experts, you know. So Invea, it's an expert talent pool marketplace. So the expert, they're providing the consulting and they're providing the educational uh, training in the platform. So when you raise funding, the main goal of that is to make the expert feel comfortable on the safe journey, feel comfortable on the journey of creating the content as the training. It means the communication stuff about the content video marketing, or the content video they're not creating. So we need to do that from the start because they don't have the maximum budgets, or they don't have any equipments to do a good video recording or all the stuff behind it. And we also have to provide them for training because they don't, you can't be an expert for any kind of stuff. You are not an expert to delivering a training. It's two things different. Being an expert for something and teaching people is two different things. So the other part, first part is ensuring that our expert have all they need to do the training, to creating the training in the platform. In the other side, that we providing the expert for resources, tools, and to leveraging themselves and to be a good on what they're doing actually. So it's kind of working on a personal branding for all our experts. So we have a big program behind our experts. We want, if someone says that I'm an Invea expert, when you look at him in Google, when you look at him in LinkedIn, when you look at him everywhere, even in his real life, he is not only the expert he's saying, but personally, in personal branding is very awareness. So the idea, what we want to doing is building this platform, and the budget, the amounts we want, the fund we want to raise is to supporting our expert to be themselves.
Right. And what has been your experience so far with regards to like raising, especially like right now when we're currently like in a downturn, and there's not much funding currently in the economy, in the global economy, because of where it is currently. What has been your experience with regards to that?
Yeah, for myself, I had starting on the area of entrepreneurship for a long time ago. Right now, I have been through Techstar, through Google Entrepreneurship Network, Country Manager, and so forth. And when you look at all those program in Africa right now, the main issue of all this program is supporting the early stage starting startups. And because of that, the incubation you have in many different countries of Africa, specifically when you go to, when you can split Africa through, let's say, four parts of Africa. You have, we can call it the startup development ecosystem of Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and maybe South Africa. So there you can find everything you want. You can find incubator, you can find accelerator, you can find those resources. And it's easier to start a business in these countries. But when you come to the other parts, the other second side of Africa, let's say Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Madagascar, Guinea, Gabon, Mali, all those countries that not really have access to finding financing. So my solution, what we're doing right now, is starting for myself. When you start a business, it's better to be prepared for it. You don't have to start a business don't have nothing. I think it's not a good idea to start any startups if you don't have your own funds preparing for that. So for myself, my solution was to prepare it for myself. I have another company called OIA Group. So this company has grown 5 years right now. So we have a capital from this company investing in their growing. So you starting for yourself, looking for your own funds before going to outside and looking for other funds.
I think it's interesting. You mentioned talking about your second company, OIA Group, which I was actually going to come to. But now that you brought it up, let's just dive right into it. So how do you plan to handle both of them? And I know investors always say like when you want to invest in a company, they want to be sure that you are like all in one company that they're investing in and they're putting their money in.
Yeah.
So how do you plan to navigate that?
For we have an anecdote from Africa. We say an African person can never do one thing. Can never do one thing.
Wow.
And I think it's the beauty of our diversity and our strange. And I think it's not something we should avoid when you're growing up. And you don't have to try to fit on one thing if you feel like you want to do different stuff. And the main thing is to find yourself a comfortable place and a comfortable agenda, to not being like you're running. Because when people look at you and they feel like you're running, that's the problem. But if you feel comfortable, you are okay with the agenda you put on yourself. You can have a business company and in the other side having being an employee or having another company. That's okay. It depends on the charge of work you have for both companies. For myself, I'm investing in different little startups, little business SMU in different countries, and I don't be involved on that. Agriculture, construction building or something like that. You don't have to be involved in that, but I just look at what's happening. And for my own company, actually, I was the CEO for 5 years, but now I'll jump up. I'm not the CEO anymore. I don't hear the operational going through stuff. That's the main problem. When you want to be in operational, you can't be in operational for two different things.
Yeah.
You have to be operational for one thing and be like an advisor for the other stuff. And that's what I'm doing right now. For Invea, it's my own focus right now. And all the other activity I have, it's like I have to look at it one time a week to see what's happening, what's going on, and have an advice to put in the table.
Awesome. And when I was reading about OIA Group, I read somewhere that you have trained up to 5,000 people, and you have
Yeah.
incubated at least 15 sustainable businesses. I think that's like really mind blowing. First of all. so, so are these people in Comoros? Are they like spread across Africa?
Yeah, from the starting, I started from Madagascar because I traveled to Madagascar to start my study there in economics, and I didn't finish it, and I just jump up on building, working on the entrepreneur. We're starting from when I was really young. We're starting for first incubator. We call it 100 Startup Dhaka, and it was like 7 years right now. And when we started, that was the first social incubation in Madagascar. And the idea of this social incubation is to find $2,000 for each startup or for each SME you're gonna support. And when we started that, I was like, it's something, people was not expecting you to help them, to give them something without any return. Because when you're doing social enterprise supports, you don't pay yourself. So our incubation, we didn't have any payment. So I started my journey in this way and supporting startup in Madagascar, and that's growing fast, and it was really growing. I traveled in different countries. I had managing different programs for the World Bank or for United Nations. So through this program and growing through that, I decided that my journey will be focused on supporting young people on two different ways. The first way is to make them have the skills and have all they need to fulfill their own life. Because, when you are so young and come from a poor country, all you have is your mind. You don't have money, you don't have family, you don't have big lands to sell, or you don't have nothing. You just have your minds. So focus on supporting young people growing to that stage. So for this journey, I go through different programs, Obama Leaders, Yali, Alumni, and all those stuff was focusing on supporting, training young people, giving them advice, and being involved on supporting them on the entrepreneurial journey. It was not only in the Indian Ocean, but we go to Senegal, we go through France, we go to different countries right now, and the idea is to continue. My goal is to, at the end of 2030, supporting 5 million person. This is my first goal. And last year, I decided to create a YouTube channel to dedicate it to that. But I don't have much time to go through that. But when I have time, I go there. And the idea of this YouTube channel is to support 5 million person digitally, online, and physically by providing them training. And it's an amazing journey because you meet many people doing the same stuff with you in the same journey, and you continue working with other people like yours.
Awesome. I mean, like what you said so far is like really impressive. I think what I want to find out now is like one particularly memorable moment in running that OIA group that basically reaffirmed your commitment to your mission. Like one
Yeah.
memorable, mind blowing moment.
uh, well, same. I think it was the day we inaugurating our first training center in Comoros, because before that, OIA Group was like a little SMU, and we did go to support training company and so forth. And we got the capacity to build our own center, training center. Because before that, we go to hotels and we're training to hotel on the company or inside the company training centers we support. But we're creating our own center that can have more than 15 person or more than that. And it was very amazing because in that time people have to come to us to take the training. And we were the first training center, professional training center in Comoros, having their own dedicated place where people can go and give them and have training. And that was the very it's a memorable moment, but there was also a bad moment, I think, when COVID came up. That was very the shock because, that's moment that was really, really bad for myself, and that's the main reason that I want to create Invea right now. So we're working on Invea because when COVID came up, it shut down our businesses because OI Group was focused on delivering training in person, in-person training, and consulting, in-person consulting. So there was no any digital aspect on that. And we was focused mainly on that area. And when COVID came up, you know what's happening? Country lockdowns, and our experts from different countries was blocked on the mission. They can't travel anymore. In Comoros, we didn't have the authorization to go through 10 person in a meeting. So that was a really huge shock. And you as a CEO of a company that have more than 10 person income employee there, you don't know exactly what you're doing because you should have stay pay these people because they are on contract with you. So you can't just say go home and sleep. So that was 2 years of struggling, and I think this struggling make us growing and make us think different. For right now, we close the training center and we want to focus on delivering online training. And we going through Invea Club slowly, but the idea is to bring OI Group come through inside Invea. So that's why we created Invea at first to be able to provide training wherever you are. We can provide you wherever you come from, wherever you are, wherever you're living. There is no cost of growing. Because when you want to grow with OA Group, you have to have another building in Senegal, another employee, for example, another people. So it's another cost. So that's why we want to jump on the different model, economic model. There is no, let's say, customer costs every time. We have building the businesses, the building the platform, and these people come inside the platform. So yeah, that was the two of my memorable moments, I think, bad and good.
Awesome. I think I'm happy that you actually like drew the line from where OIA Group was down to where India is right now. And I think my next question is just going to be I want to go back to India and what's your long-term plan for India?
My long-term plan is very simple. Africa is the big market actually for digital stuff, whatever it is, fintech, edtech, whatever you want. And the market is growing, actually. It's growing very fast. And when you go to, I've traveled a lot in different countries in Africa. When you go to any of those countries, I told you, the full main ecosystem startup country, or even the outside those ecosystem countries, you have different startups actually they're doing edtech, but they most focus on something more specifically in tech. For example, we have Andela really focus on providing services for tech development stuff. And you don't have any actual startup in Africa that's built in the same place, Fiverr and LinkedIn you know. Because when you look at an expert right now, what you look with an expert, you go where? You go to LinkedIn to look at the expert. But how many people in Africa are using LinkedIn actually? And how many people actually using LinkedIn as a way to find a solution for their own businesses or for their own consulting? So my goals for Invea is to be the next LinkedIn Fiverr mixed, you know, for Africa, and the other part being the next Coursera for Africa or Udemy or whatever you want. And this is possible because when we focus on the person, they don't focus on the product they deliver, they don't focus on the solution behind, but in the person. LinkedIn, they focus on the networking. Fiverr, they focus on the service providing by the consult, the freelancing side. And Coursera, they focus on the training. So they sell stuff. They don't sell the people. It's not really good to say we're selling people. But the idea is having a focus on you as a person, you as an expert, and what you are capable to do. So I want Invea to be the first place when you want to grow as an expert, you have to go as an expert from Africa, whatever you want to do. If you want to give training and then have access to a long-term revenue because you're creating training inside Invea, or if you want to be consulting or in a different the big four we want, KPMG, Deloitte, or whatever you want, you have to go through Invea to have the capacity, the tool, and the resources to do that. That's where you want to go. So it's a big challenge, I know, but to build Invea through the person, and then this person will provide whatever they want.
I think that building is a LinkedIn, Coursera, Fiverr for Africa and Africans. I think it's a great idea on one hand. On the second hand, on the other hand, I'm asking, how do you bring in, because we Africans, we like to leverage the potentials outside Africa. Do you understand? So how do you tie that back into the platform?
Our strategy is not building something for Africa globally, for the starting, but building for something for Africa countries. It's different way to do this stuff. For right now, for example, I can give you a concrete example. We have for 5 countries we're starting with, and Burkina Faso, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Somaliland, and also 6 because there is Madagascar also. So these 6 countries, the strategy is to be, let's focus on your country. We're talking with the country manager. It's like he has his own businesses in his country, and he don't look out for the beginning. It means we have experts from Cote d'Ivoire. They focus on Cote d'Ivoire markets because even they can take the 1% of Ivory Coast market. This is a lot of money and this is a lot of growing too fast. 1%, only 1% of the market in Ivory Coast. And what we want to starting focus on, we are an expert from Ivory Coast. We understand Ivory Coast population. We understand the reality of our country. We understand how the country going on, and we speak our languages locally. So we're gonna providing servicing for the local first. And then when people come from the other country, they want to look what's happening in Ivory Coast, what the experts from Ivory Coast are going. They can take a look on that. But the main goal, the main target is not the Africa wider world, but the main target first is the local markets. For our each country manager, they have to focus on doing local marketing, on doing local commercialization of the servicing the expert they provide. So after that, when you go through the globally, because we say that, yeah, it's of course we African, we creating the steel, where we want to be showing everywhere. We want to showcase stuff, and
Yeah.
we like it, and I like what you do with your hearts. Like, yeah, of course, you are wonderful. Yeah, I agree. And you awesome. You are wonderful. And we like it. We like that stage. And but I think that we put too much time on that rather than trying to find the real problem and the real solution in our country. And when you take a country, I just give you a little small example. Comoros is 1 million person. Okay. When you go to the Comoros market, it's a small market. But when you can fit these small markets with this solution, with the problem, you can have access to whatever you want, in other words. But the platform also provides the possibility for experts to be the personal branding working for them in the other platform like LinkedIn or otherwise. So we don't put them only stay on Invea, but we want them to work also on the personal branding in other platform. So yeah.
Awesome. I think you have found a way to marry both of them. I think my my next question will be, around the founder ecosystem in Africa, and you have trained up, enough number of people to have experience in this. What would you say is the future of, like, where would you say we are currently with regards to founders in Africa, what we are building, the different startups that keep coming up? Where do you think we're also going to?
Yeah, I've preparing actually a DBA on that, so it's kind of good question, a messy question. And before our call, I was writing to the correction that the University of Lausanne sent me to it. For me, the men struggling, actually, the situation of startup in Africa, it's amazing, but it's not really amazing, because Africa is a big continent. It's a big continent, and we don't see it like this. And when you look at Africa, how many unicorn we have or unicorn? Not more than 10 or 20. It's not too much, but we have too much excited of the media telling that Africa is growing, ecosystem is growing. It's cool because it's real in some case. But when we look at Africa in the globally, Africa actually ecosystem is very slow. It's very slow, and the bank system in Africa, they don't support startup growing. Actually, that's what we are right now. How many? This, we can spell it. Wave, Amazon, Wave, Water Wave. We can you can have a list of the number of Africa startup. Actually, you take this number comparing on London startup, only London. Don't go so far. Only London. The difference is so huge. So yeah, we have an amazing opportunity to build the African markets, but we are so far for where we want to go. And for me, there is too many steps to do. I think in country level, we have to look at what going well and what country are going well and what they're doing to be well. So for me, like I was writing an article last year with the military war school in Paris about looking at the economic model of startup growing in Africa and look at that and say the other country to look at this step and look what they can learn from them and how they can build it. But we have a different gaps to fill. And this gap, there is many young people trying to create a startup right now. They're creating amazing ideas, amazing project, amazing initiative. But when they take 1 year from them, and then they shut down because there is no support for the ecosystem. There is no support for even founding or even training. You have too much incubator focusing on building a business model, and that's it. And what? When you build a business model, where are you going after that? So there is no the gap that fits on the product, building a product. So I think Africa startup or entrepreneur, they should focus on building a product and put it in the markets and look what they're saying, and then they can grow. But don't put your time writing and going to incubation and going to all these programs that are around Africa right now. I think it's good for somehow, but it's not really, it's good for education, for sensitizing, for awareness, etc. But we need to be in the action. So I will call all the founder or all the people who want to do startup, who want to start a business. Do it. Don't wait for too long. Do it because the market is needed. So the longer you take to wait, the longer someone else gonna fit the market because it's a need. And a need can't wait too long.
True.
If I can't find my need here, I can go outside, take the solution. So when you find the solution that can help your neighbors, your community, your country, your region, do it right now. And if it's not working, iterate it and go through that. Do iterate and lean, do iterate and lean, do iterate and lean. And that's how we can grow in Africa ecosystem. Don't wait for the government to put any policy behind you. Don't wait for any bank to change the system, how they're funding startup because they focus on commerce, they don't focus on tech. Don't wait for all those stuff. Actually have the intelligence artificial come through. So artificial intelligence, you can build a startup with ChatGPT without knowing any codes behind it. And you can create a website with WordPress behind without knowing something. So it's world-changing games. And we have to be with this world-changing game, not too far from it. So do whatever you want to do it, iterate and lean. Do iterate and lean.
Awesome. And my final question to you is, what is your African dream? Because we always have, I mean, different people, different countries have their own dream. The American dream, there's the European dream, there is whatever dream. Well, we hardly see, like, Africans talk about their own African dream. So what is your version of the African dream?
You know, for my own journey, I've been involved in too many stuff when I was young, political, uh, social, and entrepreneurial. Um, but when you look at all of those stuff going through Africa right now, the coup and all of those stuff, um, I think Africa, when you take a picture of Africa right now, there is so many things happening right now that didn't happen for more than 100 years. We have too many stuff going on, and it's amazing. And it's like we are waking up. When you look at young people in Africa, they are energizing. They have this fear. They have this fear that they have to do something right now. Even in politics, even in entrepreneurship, even in social engagements, they want to do something. When you look at all the foundation, all the program, you have Obama Foundation, Mandela Washington Fellowship programs. You look at the Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Program. You look at all the stuff happening in Africa right now. The only dream you can have is to be part of it. You know, don't look at it as a dream because it's not a dream anymore. It's real reality. And the reality of Africa right now, the Africa is building Africa. We are building the Africa we want, actually. And it's not the next generation gonna do it because things happen right now. So don't wait for having the America. I think it's amazing to have a dream and dream about it. But my dream to me is to be part of the dream. I don't know if you get me,
I
but
get you.
my dream is to be part of the something we're building right now. And for me, the Africa will be succeed the day where you can travel wherever you want in Africa without any visa. You can provide, you can build your life in any country in Africa without having all the administrative staff or without having to be treated as a foreign country. You know what's happening in Tunisia right now, for example. So you can be who you are and show the world that we are the talent of Africa. That's it. That's the dream. And wherever you come from, whatever your religion, whatever your origin or your area of working, you can be yourself without having fear to be judged, without having fear to have access to the basic life, food, electricity, education, without having fear of the next generation of your children if they're gonna live in a war or if they're gonna live in a peaceful place. So this is for me my African dream, having being ourselves without any fear.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that was a very insightful, points and like very, very insightful experience. Because also, like in the course of interviewing other people, I have also heard people say, "Oh, their African dream begins when we can even travel within Africa without having to worry about visa costs,
Yeah.
expensive travel fees, because that's how you open the way for trade between countries, and that's how you grow the economy. When you allow travel, when you allow, um, you know, little border control and all of that. So I think it's really interesting what you've said. And I would like to say thank you so much for coming on this podcast. This is the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. And
Thank you so much, Trita, to see your wonderful faces with the shine of Africa,